everybody. I'm Sherry Smeraglia, and I am the breeder here at Smeraglia. This is Meredith, our manager, and Carol, she is our training services manager and also works very closely with me with our breeding program. And today we have been sitting around talking about vision and the focus for 2017, and we felt like that it was time to educate you guys and to let you have a glimpse into our conversations and some of the processes that we use to make the decisions that we do for our program. And so today we want to talk about the breeding program and our dogs. We have our teddy bear Goldendoodles and our teddy bear Schnoodles. And a lot of people have questions, for me and for Carol and for Meredith about why we do what we do and what is our focus, what is the vision, and how did we all get started doing this. And I think that's real important, right?
Absolutely. I think you have to cast the purpose why you even started this before people can understand everything else that we do.
Well, and every choice we make day in and day out always gets back to what our vision is. We're just going along blindly if we're not making choices with purpose. And with our vision that we had, that's the purpose to the decisions that we make.
And a lot of our clients will call the front office and speak to the girls that work up there, Jared, and Jared answers the phone along with Trisha, and we have Christy, and we have Annie, and they are trying to answer the questions for me. I have been in the office for many years, but as you probably know just by watching our vlogs, I'm a very busy person, and I'm in and out, and I like being with the puppies and the dogs, and I don't always want to sit behind a desk, and I know that you have questions that need answered. And so we felt that it would be very informative, instead of my behind-the-scenes vlogs that I have been doing in 2016, giving you a glimpse into Smeraglia. We want to take the opportunity to begin to slowly educate the clients. As you call, you have a lot of questions, and it is also very helpful for our staff. They need to always stick with the original vision.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I think something else that you talked about a little bit this year that we want to work on is there's a lot of misinformation out there about what a breeder is, who a breeder is, what Goldendoodles are, and what they aren't. And I think battling a lot of that misinformation with fact and some truth is really what's needed this year.
When you search it out and you're trying to figure out who's the best breeder, there is so much information out there right now, because Goldendoodle, they're a hot topic. They really are, and there's so much you can find. You can find from both ends of the spectrum. So we have to really educate, like you were saying, the public and our clients and our staff on why are we different.
Right, and why do we do what we do? And that's why we're here today. We want to talk to you about our original vision. When I first started, way back in 2000, actually 1999, I began the process, and in 2000, having our first teddy bear Goldendoodles, and we also have teddy bear Schnoodles. There was a reason why we have those two breeds, and it is because my main focus was to produce a pet, a great family pet at that time that was allergy friendly and low to non-shedding. And it was personal to me because I'm a mom of 5 children, and my first 2, they were fine with dogs, and I loved dogs. And the thing is that we could be around all dogs and no problem. I loved golden retrievers, and I just fell in love with them, and that was really my breed of choice until my 3rd child was born. And when he was born and I was raising the Goldens and I was showing the Goldens, we realized that he had allergies to the dogs, and it was really it was very traumatic for us as a family, because we loved our dogs. We were very invested in bringing them, importing them, showing them, and doing everything that we were doing. And then to find he couldn't even be around them or even have them in our car. And it was very devastating, but yet within that devastation, it was really cool how I was contacted and shared about the hybrid breeds and about the Goldendoodles, and how that there was a possibility that maybe he could tolerate those. And, you know, long story short, we ended up going down that path. That's a whole nother story. But the thing is, when they came, he was not allergic to them. And I love them because I still had my golden that I absolutely loved. I didn't lose really anything I felt like in my temperament or what I loved about my golden, but I gained something, and that was non-shedding, allergy friendly, and my children could tolerate them.
So I think that brings you to then what makes, because a lot of people can make an allergy friendly hybrid. So what makes Smerallias recognizable?
Right. And so what makes them recognizable is that the English Golden Retrievers that I had were very unique and very beautiful, and I thought that they were just the most gorgeous dogs in the whole world. But whenever I bred the Golden Retriever, my English one, to the Poodle, what I ended up with was what I consider one of the most gorgeous dogs I'd ever seen in my life at that time. And it was gorgeous, big, old-fashioned, shaggy-looking teddy bear. And that's how we coined the name. It was here first at Smeraglia. It was the Teddy Bear Goldendoodle. But the difference is that they are the English. And that was the original vision, was to make sure that they were allergy-friendly, low to non-shedding. But then the next thing was the health of these puppies was so much greater than the Goldens that I'd had before.
Well, and what's interesting too, and I know we're in future vlogs, we're going to talk about the specific parent breeds, but you had already started with parent breeds, the Golden Retriever in particular, that was already healthier than what you see typically. But then when you add hybrid vigor, where you take two separate breeds, two separate gene pools, you really minimize the risk a great deal because of hybrid vigor. Those recessive traits just don't pop up as much in two separate gene pools.
And when you say hybrid vigor, explain that, because maybe someone's listening today and they don't understand exactly what that means.
So what hybrid vigor means is in purebred dogs, particularly ones that are bred of a particular lineage or a particular area or part of the country, you're sharing a gene pool very tightly. And when you share that gene pool very tightly, you increase your risk of recessive traits meeting up, lining up, and then you have bad recessive traits that can come out. With hybrid vigor, you're not only separating the region of a purebred dog, but you're separating breeds altogether. And by doing that, you are really minimizing that risk a great deal. And that's what hybrid vigor is all about, is minimizing the risk of those those recessive traits popping up.
Now, what are some of the recessive traits, say, to the English Golden Retriever and the Poodle?
Well, the traits that, the health traits that we tend to see in Golden Retrievers that we're trying to minimize the risk of as much as possible are hip dysplasia. And then in the American Golden Retrievers, there's a study out right now that says right around 80% of Golden Retrievers that are American lines, 80% will die of cancer. And so cancer is a huge risk in Golden Retrievers right now. Well, with the English...
Just on the American?
On the American, it's 80%. So in Golden Retrievers, period, cancer is a huge issue. But by using non-American lines, which we're going to talk about in another vlog, and using the English lines instead, we can already minimize that risk a good bit. It's still there. It's just not as great as what we see in the American lines. But... those particular things don't seem to be as big a breed issue in the Poodle. Now, in the standard Poodle, you can see hip dysplasia, but we can look for that risk. But in the smaller Poodles and even in standard Poodles, they have breed-specific things like von Willebrand's disease. We also see PRA, which is progressive retinal atrophy. We also can see luxating patella. We can see things like that in the Poodle that we don't see in the Retriever, which means there's no place for those genes to line up for the most part.
With each other.
Correct. Right. And so that doesn't mean that we won't see those things pop up. It doesn't mean that we won't get a weird lineup of genes as a fluke, but for the most part, we're minimizing that risk quite a bit.
And we have to always keep our original vision in mind when we're breeding. And as I continue in with these vlogs, you're going to see that everything that we do will go back to the original vision. And that vision is we have a specific temperament that we're looking for, a specific look that we're looking for, the hybrid vigor, and also the allergy-friendly load and on-shedding. And those things all together are 4 very important things. And when I had the first litter, you know, of course it began with a golden retriever and a poodle. And then breeding those, then you would produce what we call an F1 golden doodle. Now it's an F1 English, and I really want to stress English because when you're speaking to other people about golden doodles or maybe other breeders, the things that they're going to talk to you about may differ slightly from the English golden doodle to the American. Generations will differ. You will learn that in an upcoming vlog when we go and start teaching on generations. Other breeders will use different terminology like F1B, F2B, F1BB.
Yep.
What do these mean? I know it's very confusing, and we're going to speak to you all about it. We're going to teach you all on it, but we want you to know everything goes back to a look, a type, a temperament.
And the Smeraglia type is definitely distinctive. And I think for anybody, so many of the questions we get are people looking for a companion. They're looking for a dog to be that missing piece in their house. And ultimately, every breeder has a vision, or at least they should have a vision that they've started with, so they're breeding with a purpose. And our vision's gonna line up with a lot of people. Our vision may not line up with some people, and there are other breeders out there that have a different vision than what yours is. It's just a different vision.
You know, my whole family's super artsy. You've probably seen all the artwork and everything that we do here, and I have a very critical eye when it comes to something that I'm doing. Of course, all puppies and all dogs are wonderful, but if I'm going to put my name on something and I'm going to have a brand or a line or something that has a distinctive look, like any artist or anybody that is working to create something that they believe is beautiful, you're going to look at that and say, hey, I like that. I really don't like that. I'm breeding more for, it's a stockier, blockier build, shorter leg, broader chested. I like a very nice stop. I like a very short, blocky nose face. I don't go for very snipey. I'm not looking for a snipey look, which is kind of longer. I'm looking for a temperament that's very laid back, very confident. And as I'm looking for those things, if I'm considering my breeding program, I'm only going to pull from what I believe is excellence. And of course, everybody is great, but maybe everybody is not somebody that should be bred, right?
Absolutely. Well, and one of the things too, like you talked about, where you're looking for a specific type and a specific look, you've been doing this long enough now that you've been able to hone that in with your parent dogs, where we select even on the parent breeds. We can import and do that, but now we also can breed our own dogs where we know this parent dog and what their traits are, and this dog needs a little more bone. So to get more bone, we know that this parent dog produces that, so the two of them are gonna complement each other in the best way. This dog is super confident, but has a little more energy than what we prefer, so we need to go to this parent dog who's very, very laid back to complement that. So we know the dogs really, really well at this point to make sure that we're getting that best complement of genes. And I think one of the other things with sticking with this original vision too is it's always going back to that hybrid vigor, which is where we're not looking to produce purebred golden doodles.
Right.
That gets us away from that hybrid vigor. And so multi-gens are just not necessarily something that we do a whole lot of, because that does get us away from that.
And we're going to talk more about that, because I know that you're probably having questions about that. And I want to break this down where today we're really focusing on our vision and why we do what we do, and the 4 things that we focus on, and that we always go back to the hybrid vigor, which is health. It's very important to make sure that you're breeding healthy dogs, because you can have every single thing perfect, every test in the world, and you can still have genetic weaknesses, or you can have things that show up. You cannot totally 100% eliminate health issues, but you can decrease the incidences of those. And that's our heart, okay? Now, so that's the health, the hybrid vigor. Secondly is temperament here rules. I know that a look is very great, and I was talking earlier about the look and how that I want a particular look. But when it comes down to picking a puppy, I'm gonna pick temperament over look every time over looks, because temperament rules. A pretty face, hey, if it's not acting right, behaving right, and it's not a good match for you, you would much rather have the temperament that's right for you. So we always say temperament rules. And then also, our look though is so distinctive, and we've been doing this so long. I mean, I created the English Goldendoodle breed. So I've done this long enough that I actually know pretty much just by looking at our lines, what it's going to produce.
Absolutely.
And like you said, our parent breeds, that's something new for 2017. Because you may have noticed on our website, you've seen some parent breeds. That is because we know our lines so well now that we are breeding some of our own lines to produce the Goldendoodles and the Schnoodles that we need, because we can't sometimes find what we want outside of those
Correct.
lines.
We've gotten to a place now where we have a Smeraglia type. You have created a Smeraglia type where somebody walking down the street can say, that's a Smeraglia doodle, and know
I say it all the time.
Without a doubt. Well, the reason you have that is because the dogs we have here. Well, that means now we have to be so selective about what we bring in from elsewhere, because if it doesn't line up with that Smeraglia type, it's gonna pull us off track. So now we're at a place where we'd almost rather breed our own retrievers or our own poodles or our own schnauzers, because we can keep that Smeraglia type going much more effectively and control it a lot better by watching that way.
Right, and that's why a lot of Goldendoodle breeders or a lot of other breeders out there of other dogs, they do a lot of mixing and trading and passing, back and forth and buying and selling each other's dogs for breeding stock and things like that. And we don't do that here. We only work very exclusively with a few breeders, because we don't want to deviate from what we know. We know our temperaments.
Well, and that's where we have that distinctive type. You basically have a Smeraglia type, and then you have the not Smeraglia type, but that's where everything is kind of getting intermixed back and forth. But we're still keeping that hybrid vigor. Even though we're breeding our own parent dogs here, we're still being very, very mindful of that hybrid vigor to make sure that we're not breeding in such a way that we don't have an adequate gene pool. We're watching that very, very closely. And so we're still able to keep that hybrid vigor going even as we do that.
And does that mean we're never going to have any puppies with behavior issues or any genetic weaknesses or any health issues? No, we're going to see those. Because as you do this, the more you do it, the more you're going to see. And over the years, we have seen things, and it's hard whenever you raise puppies and then something doesn't go right with a puppy. You hate it, but we do so much with research and development and our documentation and everything that we can, because we want to make the breed better. And so that's what we do. If we learn something, we implement that into our program.
You know what, though, on that note, we minimize the risk as much as we can. But one of the things that also differentiates Smeraglia from everyone else, aside from the dogs, is the people. We'll stand behind that dog. Any Smeraglia dog that's been born here always has a home here. If anybody ever has a question or problem about their dog, all they have to do is call, and we're here as resources for them to help. And that's something else that makes a difference with Smeraglia. We don't sell you a puppy and say, good luck, see you later. We're here for you for the long haul. You become part of the family.
So today, we just wanted to kind of lay out the vision and let you really understand why we do it, what is our focus. Because when we start talking on generations and coloration and sizes, you're going to hear us go back to, but our vision and our look and our type is this. We have a classic look, that classic ultra cream English Goldendoodle, but over the years we've added new sizes, we've added new colors, we've added lots of all things, but it takes time working those in. And so we just want to make sure that we don't deviate from our vision and our purpose, We want to keep the hybrid vigor. That's why we're not going to go way deep into multi-gens. We're going to be very careful with temperament because we breed for a lot of service and therapy dogs. Our heart here at Smeraglia is to breed and produce puppies that can be great family pets, but more than anything, we love it when they become service and therapy candidates. And so as we continue on in our vlogs in the future, you're going to learn a lot about this. So if you've got any questions, please submit them to us. Subscribe to our Facebook page, Instagram page, and hopefully we are going to help you understand everything you need to know about Smeraglia's Teddy Bear Golden Doodles and Teddy Bear Schnoodles. Thank you.